So the biggest game in recent Pro Vercelli history is round the corner, and Chosen One Cleaner did this in the warm-up. Napoli beat us in Serie A, and we've got that home game second leg against them coming up. Thankfully we got back to form pretty much straight away. That was Condello scoring, assisted by Ruti. He's had a strange little season, only scoring 6. I'm massively loyal to Ruti. I move him around all over the place, and he always seems to perform quite well. Doesn't seem to get to that Serie A standard though. So it was time for the semi-final, second leg. First leg was 2-2. And because we're at home, I'm going for it. I'm not even going to worry about what Sean Dyche does. Yeah, maybe I should have. As 2 classic Sean Dyche goals knock us out of the semi-final. As far as Serie A, we were doing pretty well. That was one of our best results of the season away at Juve. And with 3 games to go, we're sat comfortably in 7th. I'd continued the double pivot of the halfback and DLP. I'm not totally bought on it yet. In fact, I'd created a new one just to experiment ready for next season. I'm wondering if it's time to change up the 4-2-4 despite the great success we've had. So it looked good against Vicenza. Probably our best, most dominating performance of the season. Like we absolutely battered them, they couldn't get a kick. But it's Vicenza. And literally the very next match, we were terrible, so it might not be the answer. In our last game of the season, we just needed a point to qualify for Europe, and we did just that. So our 2031-2032 season, which included a trip to the Champions League, concludes. And it's a bit of a drop from last season, so we're down to 7th, but I'm not too angry about that. Again, we only lost 9 matches. Okay, the season's finished. I don't even know what number season this is. What is it? 9. It's season 9. I've only won 3 awards. Raging. So 9 seasons in. I mean, I'm getting angry at being, not angry, disappointed at being top 7 in Serie A. I should be happy. And if you look at it this way, check this out. The last 2 seasons, we've lost 17 matches. Now that's not bad, is it? When you can see that Roma have lost 17 this season. So I experimented with this, but I don't think I'm going to keep it. The reason I wanted to try it was because Parejo is so good, but Ramirez is not as attacking as him, so it just hasn't worked. Let's be honest, it hasn't worked. So we've got Old Faithful here, which we'll probably revert to, but I am going to build a new one for season 10. 10 seasons already. So we'll try the new tactic, but we know we can always drop back to that. But we are in the Conference League next season. I think that's a decent one. It's going to be lots of fixtures, but possible chance of a trophy. Now, wrapping the season, you can see Esposito was a top boy again, followed by Parejo. Same as last season, then Moretti had that big clutch period of games, which he has dropped off massively from. He's a very streaky player. Carabali was great, and then a clutch of players just touching 7. We somehow managed to get 34 matches out of Di Marino at 33. There is a decline. Cons, Serie C player now, Serie C. Kalina's got himself injury prone. I don't know where this has come from, but his cons list is getting big and he's injury prone. He only started 25 times this season. We haven't looked at King Yaya for a while. 27 matches. He was at the Cup of Nations as well, but a solid season at 6.96. He's done well. And Sulaj, again, pretty solid. He's wanted by Sevilla and he does have a release clause. Now, he's the last great youth prospect that came through for us all those years ago. Decision made on Esposito. His brother's not going to be happy, but terms of the loan were pretty brutal and the future fee of 15.5 million just is not going to cut it for us. He's 30 as well. Overall, he only scored twice for us. Decent performances, but an experiment that I'm not going to pursue. So it's time to talk about these boys again. I asked your opinion on where you would put them with the elite talents and the top talents. Well, we've signed a rake of them. Now, obviously, at this stage, because they're so young, nobody is pushing the first team, but that's absolutely fine. This is the section we're looking at here, ones to watch, and you can see the ages, 15, 16, 15, 16. Now, a lot of you took interest in that last episode, and you wanted to know about my staffing. So get your pitchforks out. Let's have a look at the staff. My head of youth development is Christoph Speicher. I've just recently signed him because I've just replaced the last one. Now, working with youngsters is 14, which possibly is not ideal, but I don't think he's going to be working with them directly. He's going to be recruiting and instructing the coaches. And as you can see, player ability, player potential, both 19 and 19. His personality is professional and he's got determination of 19, which I believe helps. Now, as far as the staff, so the under-20 staff, I've got a full squad of staff. The manager is Stuart Kettlewell. He's got top-level experience in the SPL. Working with youngsters is 16. Discipline probably could be better. He's assisted by former Parma player Alberto Grassi. Again, decent level of working with youngsters. Discipline's good. Determination, elite. All of my coaches have got working with youngsters 18. That's what I prioritised, and I am still learning along with everybody else. Another one there with 20, and Mero there with 17. Now, as far as the under 18s go, I'm having such a trouble getting a manager. I just can't get one. I've searched for one, I've put job adverts out, they're just not coming. So at the minute, Luca Moura is stealing a living. I won't lie to you, I don't remember giving him a job, and I think that was an oversight from me at the start of the setup. I think he's been hired, so now he's not. Be gone, be gone. So he's gone as we look for a replacement management team, but how do the coaches stack up? The first one is former legendary player Andrea Scianetti, and he's pretty damn decent if you ask me. In fact, I might even make him the manager. Working with youngsters is 15, determination level is 17. Then we've got Andrea Freddie Mercury, again, decent levels of working with youngsters. Massimo Riccardo, all of these guys were working under that fraud. They must be raging. So by the time we get to next season, we should have a new management team in place. But the coaches are pretty decent. I'm thinking about promoting this man to the boss man. Not only is a legend of Pro Vercelli, but he's pretty damn decent. Right, so I've made some decisions on what positions I'm going to retrain some of these boys in. Hopefully you agree. If you don't, let me know. So a star graduate was Luca Rossetti. Now he's down as a centre-back, but I don't think many people agreed with that, largely to the fact that he's 5'10", and his jumping reach is only 9, and his heading, although decent, is not centre-back level. Other things like his mentals and stuff are decent in terms of concentration and his positioning, but for me it just screams defensive midfielder. So that's what I've done straight away. I've gone in at defensive midfielder. I've allowed the guys in the under 18s to control his additional focus for now, but I'm going to keep an eye on that because I want to focus other areas of his game for the transition to midfield. Next up, Daniel Volpe. Now Volpe is pretty adaptable in positions. Now some people have said inside forward, which is an interesting shout. He's kind of two-footed, very strong on his left foot, so if he was going to be an inside forward, I'd prefer him to be on the right-hand side. But as you can see from attributes highlighted as an inside forward, it's not a bad shout, is it? And bear in mind, physically, his pace is not great, so he's not going to be a winger or anything like that. I think his role will be as an advanced playmaker or the inside forward. So what I'm going to do to get a broad range of attribute growth is I'm going to train him up as an attacking midfielder on support, and then that's just going to cover a few different areas. It does give me license to change his position later on, but we're going to cover quite a few attributes training him as an attacking midfielder. But as you can see, acceleration and pace are not going to be his strength, so he's definitely not going to be an inverted winger or winger. Bernardo Simple is a goalkeeper, and he cannot be a sweeper keeper because look at that first touch. I mean, that's not going to improve no matter what we do. Here's an exciting one. This is Paparella, and this is the fullback. Now, you're going to say wing back straight away, right? But acceleration and pace, although time to grow, are not great. He uses full-back attack, which is what they've got at the minute. His crossing is outstanding. His dribbling's horrible, though, so there are areas to improve. Balducci next, and look, Udinese already sniffing, so it shows his potential. What do you think? On a central midfielder like that, I'm not sure where to put him yet. So when I'm not sure, I like to select position and role that will cover loads of attributes. So I'm going to focus initially on box-to-box midfielder, because as you can see, that covers a load. Now, that does mean that you'll get diminished returns on some, so I'm going to keep it that way for a bit and then make a decision later. Then we can really hone in on the attributes we want to increase. Now, a lot of you liked Sergio Fagetti, and I do too, but there's some things just grinding at me. He's 6'1", his heading's not great, his jumping reach isn't great either, but it's going to be tricky to retrain him as a midfielder because his passing and vision are not the best. But he does have great balance, great natural fitness. It does look like he could be a midfielder. In fact, when I highlight defensive midfielder, you can see some key attributes are getting focused on there. Work rate, teamwork, which he's already got. It's tempting. Focusing on his ability as a central defender, for example, we lose the work rate and teamwork. They're not really required, neither are balance, natural fitness. I've just got this little feeling that he should be a midfielder. And a curveball would be train him up as a libero. A goalie who's like a mini Sulaj. Physically, he's not great. He's not going to get around the pitch. He might be in his right position here as a deep line playmaker. Striker Caranante, I actually think they've got this one right with the pressing forward role, but I'm going to switch it up to get him more aggressive and get him training to be an attacking pressing forward. And left back Gio Comini, pretty similar to our right back in that he's got good potential with his crossing, but his physicals aren't outstanding yet. Now he's only 15, so I'm going to work on him as a fullback on attack, and we've already got the quickness training in, so let's leave that be for now. There's actually a couple lower down that I think have been undervalued here in terms of potential, such as Gianni Mombrini. I think he's as good as some of the others we've looked at. He looks like an attacking player to me, so I'm going to flip him to a little bit more adventurous as an advanced playmaker on attack. And finally, potentially the best out-and-out defender we've seen is Alessandro Montesanto. He hasn't got the height, but I think he could be a pretty decent solid fullback. So a deep dive there into these players. I do like to retrain them straight away, because if you just leave them, they're in the arms of the youth coaches and they could do anything with them. So next season, thoughts. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to create a new version and I'm going to have this as a backup, so we're solid. Budget wise, initially they've gave us 4 million at the minute. We'll see if that changes, but as you can see, the wage budget is in the mud, so I'm going to have to ship out some fringe players. And rather annoyingly, the recruitment focuses are working a treat. There's loads coming in from Spain, Portugal, Argentina. Ukraine's a tough nut to crack, but they do have that player that we all liked, Eduard Mironov, wanted by Wolves, and at the minute we just can't afford him. I would love to sign him though. And I have also got a scout working in Africa now, and he's got 4 in progress. Early days, so we'll see what he comes up with. I did make a signing in the last transfer window, and I forgot to mention him, Emmanuel Oseni. He's out on loan at the minute. He's only 18. When he gets back, we'll have a little retrain of him, but as you can see, he's got a great dribbling. Pace is 16, technique's good. I'm not sure what they're doing with him because his attributes are on the way down. So we'll welcome him back and we'll sort him out. And don't forget, we do have Andrej Zejenek coming in as well to dominate that right-hand side, I think. Looking at him, and that position there as advanced wing-back, that might sway me on a formation for next season. Because we could have him bombing down the right and Parejo bombing down the left. So that could mean, is it a return to the first season? Where we go a little bit free at the back? What's old is new?